Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today's vehicle in question is yet another SPA, the Soviet ZSU-37-2, battle rating 8.3 and rank 6. In the tech tree, it comes after the ZSU-23-4, which is in many aspects rather similar, and it comes before the ZPRK-2S6, aka the Tunguska. And with a higher battle rating, you think it overall to be an improvement over the Shilka, but it kind of isn't. And the only feature that stands out is its anti-tank capabilities, which are a bit more reliable. But that comes at a hefty price. And so, is it worth the 220,000 RP? The answer is no. So you could stop the video. However, there are many things coming together with this vehicle that it then struggles with. I have a perfect show gameplay. I have also one thing prepared for you, and that is that we go into a test drive. Currently, Gaijin is cheaping out on the servers. We have a global pandemic situation, people are at home, new patch, Operation Winter, and also the Battle Pass grind. Now, let's just the game load. We have the jets overhead, and let's zoom in. I have at the moment 115 FPS, and this is what the radar antenna is doing. This gameplay is recorded in 4K resolution on highest settings with at this moment 135 FPS. This is not client side, it's server side, and Gaijin tries to desperately make resources by cutting down such animations. This is not a fluke, I'm not making this up. Watch this. I'm pressing the button to turn off the radar, which also should activate an animation for the antenna retraction. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that was rather quick. And I'm just waiting here purposefully for another few seconds before I have another countdown to press the button once again to turn on the animation or the radar. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. That's the time for the animation, and it just springs off to work again. So, not a biggie, right? It's just an animation thing, and that is correct. However, it just looks awful when I invest so much money into a system that can handle War Thunder at its best performance, and you get served the gameplay like this. Duh. But we also see rubber banding in naval forces, we see problems in air forces, and that is just bad. But let's just talk about the vehicle and let's just showcase the gameplay. So without further ado, editing magic, and we are already in the gameplay, so let's talk about the capabilities of the ZSU-37-2. First, let's talk about the armor, and at best you get a 9.4 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor on the hull and 8.9 millimeters on the turret. Overall, all around, even on the top. So you are very weakly protected. You die to heavy machine guns, not just from the front, but also the side and from above, from planes, tanks, you name it. And you're also dying by hull break, which is not really nice. So everything is a threat to you. Big deal. The survivability, aside from the hull break, is also not really there. Out of the 4 crew, there are 3 in the turret, tightly cramped, and so you die there easily as well. The turret sides are also the ammunition holders for the big belts. About them in just a moment. Let's talk about the mobility. So for a 25.5 ton tank, we have a 400 horsepower strong engine propelling the tank to a 64 km/h top speed, at least in theory, and in reverse a still remarkable 23.4 km/h. Overall, nothing bad there. But then, two things. First of all, in a straight line, you actually have the capability to reach the top speed despite, or maybe because of, the narrow tracks. Again, Russian magic happens. But then, when you try to turn, you see this vehicle is fully upgraded. It has all the modules unlocked. And still, I feel like I didn't have the brake systems unlocked. So because I'm just not having neutral steering, but I'm sliding over both tracks. That's annoying. especially if you try to get out of a situation. So far we have the survivability and the mobility, both not really leaving things to be desired, but not extremely terrible. Now let's talk about the business end of the tank, and that is obviously the guns. The twin 37mm 2A11 cannon has overall 540 rounds of ammunition. With a fire rate of 500 rounds per minute per gun, you are looking at 32 to 33 seconds of overall firing time. And then you're completely empty and you need to go back into a cap, where then you reload for an awful long time till you have the belt again. And then you have the 6.5 second reload, which is then okayish, I'd say. Let's talk about the gun handling. So first of all, it doesn't really look all that bad, with a turret traverse of 60 degrees per second for a fully trained crew with the ACE qualification and obviously all the modules unlocked, and a equally 20 degrees per second gun elevation speed. Doesn't really sound all that bad, although the predecessor, the Shilka, has a whopping 70 degrees per second turret traverse and 60 degrees per second gun elevation speed, just that you know where we're standing. And then we have only 3 degrees of gun depression, but an impressive 87 degrees of gun elevation. And then we have a few other problems. First of all, the radar is, as I said, aside from the animation, only able to pick up targets in a rather narrow beam, and that shows itself. So you constantly need to spin the turret around, and you need to really watch out for targets. Sometimes you can see helicopters and planes before the radar picks them up, and sometimes you see all the signals on the radar. So it's a bit of a mixed story. It's not perfect, but when you then lock onto a target, the lead indicator is rather accurate. So at least there is this. Then let's talk about the lack of thermal imaging and night vision device. I just have none. I have no night vision device whatsoever. The predecessor at least has, infrared or night vision. Not to think about thermal imaging here at all, which makes night battles rather bad. Also, to lock on a target, you not just need to align the guns with the target direction, but also the altitude. But if you can't see anything big at night because of your lack of thermal imaging and or night vision device in this case, you have a bit of a problem. And so sometimes you just don't see enemy tanks, which you would easily spot with at least night vision device. So I was tired of the battle, just went forward a bit, and thank you. So here in this battle I actually recorded the replay again, because obviously in one of the best showcases I didn't press the record button apparently. Sorry about this. Let's talk about the ammunition now. We have 3 separate belts. We have the default belt, your stock belt, which is a 50-50 mixture of APT and high explosive fragmentary incendiary tracer rounds. And the AP has a maximum penetration of 85mm, which is at point blank range pretty decent and significantly better than the 46mm of the Shilka. Now the tier 1 HE belt is a complete 100% HE belt, and therefore we also then get the statistics on the shells: 1000 meters per second muzzle velocity and 34 grams of TNT per shell, creating 3mm of penetration, which should one-hit planes and helicopters, or at least deal severely more damage than sometimes they do. And as a tier 2 upgrade, we have the BR167 APT belt, where we also get the stats: 1000 meters per second muzzle velocity and 85mm of penetration. So we have a pure HE belt and a pure AP belt. Now you have either the anti-tank or the anti-aircraft / anti-helicopter capabilities, and you don't have a second belt in your vehicle, to reload and then reload in the cap while you can protect yourself, but you have to choose between. So I use the default belt. Also, the ammunition costs for the belts are with 2,800 for the HE belt and 3,800 for the AP belt, rather high in this aspect. So the default belt is also in this aspect better. So yeah, this leaves us with a vehicle that is very limited, a bit incomplete it feels, definitely not a straight upgrade over its predecessor, and for 220,000 RP, I would rather skip it if you already have the Tunguska. That's my opinion. So here I am now in a very interesting situation. I have here also already shot down 3 flying objects, and that feels rather great. I have here a good spot, and I'm at least safe from enemy tanks. Another thing that I want to point out is that this thing has no smoke whatsoever. It also doesn't have any sort of scouting ability. So this is rather the old SPA state rather than the new one, as I said, in the SRAD R or the Type 93 after my suggestion actually made it into the game. What a surprise, to be honest. So here you can see the plane is doing some evasive actions. The shells need to score direct hits. There are no proximity fuse shells. And then you also have things like this where you just seem to hit the enemy. And now with the last 12 rounds, that is actually another server lag, believe it or not. I scored my 4th kill, and now I'm empty. So I just wanted to highlight this. After killing 4 enemy players in flying objects, I kind of did my job, but my team collapsed hard around me, and now my goal was to make it into B, to reload the belt and then try to get back into the anti-aircraft duty, because as you could see from the replay, there was a constant resupply of air targets. And yeah, the plane that I shot previously and emptied all my ammunition and just couldn't hit, still flying around. But as you can see, there is a French premium heavy tank approaching the cap, and so the last cap that we have now gets decapped. And it is right at this moment where I think to myself, that's not good. And I just dropped the artillery strike into A, and that M42 Duster is actually also going into B. So I'm thinking to myself, that's bad. And I'm pinging the map. I try to communicate with my team. Look, B gets captured. I also wrote in chat, I have no ammunition left. And my team, well, the 2 tanks are camping in the same location where I camped, but I had a useful purpose as an anti-aircraft vehicle. And, well, then there are 2 tanks on the other side of the map that, yeah, also chill around. At this moment, I kill my engine, and I also stop the radar antenna from spinning, and this M42 Duster, believe it or not, that I also called out to my team, is passing by without noticing me, which is nice for a change. And I call him out, I ping him on the map. My team has all the chances to be aware of this guy, but believe it or not, he's actually killing a guy that just relatively freshly respawned. Yeah, there it is. However, this Samoa SM, despite the premium player, well, the problem is he sees me. And that is quite literally it from me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video and the showcase. Give it a like, give it a subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.